You're about to see a long list of times Jeff Fisher has been bullied, mistreated, or just plain wronged on American Dad. From emotional abuse to having his spine snapped, being skinned alive, and potentially even having his balls removed, there's a lot to cover in this one. As you probably already know, Jeff isn't exactly the sharpest tool in the shed. Honestly, it's probably a stretch to say he's part of any shed, but what he lacks in brains, he makes up for in, let's say, loyalty. Yeah, loyalty is a good word for it, but when Haley finally got fed up with Jeff not challenging her mentally or in any way, shape, or form, she decided to dump him. And it wasn't just because he doesn't challenge her, it's because he literally agrees with everything she says.
Yeah, look, Jeff, I have bad news. This is a breakup hike.
What? But we're so good together.
No, we're not. You never challenge me. You just always agree with me.
You're right, I so do that. But I can change.
No, you can't.
You're right.
Haley heads to the CIA fair and ends up having a huge argument with Stan's boss, Avery Bullock. Stan starts worrying this might seriously mess up his chances for a promotion he's been waiting on. So the next day, he goes to Bullock's place to try to smooth things over. But when Stan walks in, he finds Haley already there, and it's clear they've been sleeping together. Stan is furious, but Bullock calms him down by promising to give him the promotion. Stan decides to accept it, but Francine is definitely not on board. In fact, she gives him a hard time about letting the whole Haley and Bullock situation slide. Then Jeff shows up, trying to win Haley back, but she turns him down. That's when Stan gets the bright idea to toughen up Jeff so he can win her over. First, Stan beats him up, then he puts Jeff through electric shocks until he learns to disagree with him.
This is an apple.
Okay.
Once again, this is an apple.
Okay.
Damn it, man, you know what this is? Be more assertive. Now, this is an apple.
No, it's not.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you say no?
Then Stan buries Jeff alive, telling him he's got 5 minutes to live, 2 if he panics. And this man just sits back sipping lemonade as Jeff slowly suffocates. The straw that breaks the camel's back is when Stan arranges for Jeff to spend the day with Joe Rogan back when he was hosting Fear Factor. Jeff finally refuses and stands up to Stan, which means he's ready. The plan works, Jeff wins Haley back, and she's thrilled at the idea that he might even get a little violent with her, which is pretty wild. Haley then breaks up with Bullock just as he's about to announce Stan's promotion, saying it's because she's back with Jeff. Bullock is crushed, but he tells Stan he'll still get his promotion if he assassinates Jeff. Stan is reluctant, but eventually agrees. He and Bullock take Jeff to the woods where Stan tries to shoot him, but decides to give him a head start instead. As they start counting, Jeff quickly hops into the SUV and drives off. They track Jeff to a diner, and just as things are about to go down, Haley shows up, trying to convince Bullock to leave Jeff alone. Jeff tries to stand up to Bullock, and how does Bullock respond? He hooks 2 fingers in Jeff's nose and throws him straight through a window. Later, we find out he even shattered Jeff's spine. Yeah, this is season 1, ladies and gentlemen, and we have so much more to come. So, it's safe to say that everyone has a past. For Jeff, it turns out he's actually a wanted man in Florida. In this episode, Stan is desperate to get rid of Jeff, and when he discovers Jeff's criminal record, well, you can see where this is going. It all starts when Stan realizes Jeff is just a broke hippie, living in his van and doing nothing with his life. Stan wants Jeff out of Haley's life, out of his family's life, and most of all, he wants that van out of his front yard. But since Jeff's van is technically on government property, Stan can't legally have it towed, so he does the next best thing. He has it destroyed.
Whoa, what a freak accident!
Thanks, Eddie. What do I owe you?
Just tell your friends, my business is word of mouth.
Stan probably didn't think this through because by destroying Jeff's van, he left him without a place to stay. Haley, being the loving girlfriend she is, offers Jeff a room at the Smith house, so he moves in with them. This infuriates Stan even more, and that's when Roger offers a solution. As I mentioned earlier, Jeff is actually wanted in Florida for marijuana possession, and there's even a reward for turning him in. Stan decides he'll hand Jeff over to the authorities to get rid of him, while Roger wants to turn Jeff in for the reward money so he can buy more disguises. Stan manages to sneak Jeff out of the house under the guise of taking him to a baseball game without Roger catching on. On the way, Jeff tells Stan he's had a bit of trouble with the law and that he's avoided talking to his dad because he's afraid of disappointing him. Roger eventually catches up and tells Jeff about Stan's plan to turn him in. Jeff escapes to his father's farm in North Carolina, and Stan manages to track him down. Jeff begs Stan to let him spend one last night with his dad before he's taken in. That's when things take a surprising turn. It's revealed that Jeff's dad, Henry Fisher, actually despises him and is deeply disappointed, but he pretends to be a proud father, and Jeff has never noticed.
What do you mean Jeff's never won an award in his entire life? But if that were true, that would mean my son is a worthless piece of crap who never accomplished anything. Well, sir, I'm not gonna sit here while you say those awful things about my pride and joy.
It's hard to watch, and even when Stan tries to tell Jeff the truth, Jeff is so convinced that his dad loves him. But soon enough, Roger arrives and reveals to Henry that there's a bounty on Jeff's head. Henry ties them both up and admits he was actually the one responsible for Jeff having the marijuana in the first place. He plans to turn Jeff in and collect the reward. He tells Jeff he's fully aware of his crimes and, feigning fatherly concern, says he wants to prove Jeff's innocence by taking him to the police. In the end, Stan rescues Jeff after he and Roger manage to escape hilariously by getting high. Stan even gets Henry arrested after Henry openly admits he doesn't care about Jeff. It's rough. Jeff may be a hippie, but that's still pretty heartbreaking. And unfortunately, things only get harder for Jeff from here. So in another episode, the family goes out to dinner, and as they're ready to order, Jeff insists he wants the salmon. The entire family huddles up for a quick meeting, excluding him, and they decide Jeff can't have it. This really ticks Jeff off, and he causes a scene in the restaurant, so the family decides to leave. On the ride home, they all discuss dinner alternatives, but Jeff insists he's not hungry. Then they start talking to him like he's a toddler. Jeff snaps, asking, "Why can't I make my own decisions?" The entire family responds, "Because you're bad at making decisions, so every decision has to be made for you."
Yeah, you make bad ones.
So we make them for you.
To help you.
'Cause you're not the smartest.
This is messed up, babe. No, I'm done. From now on, I'm the decider of me. Mr. S, let me out of the car.
Jeff decides he's had enough and wants to leave, so Stan drops him off without even slowing down the car. Jeff quickly realizes he's in a sketchy part of town and almost gets robbed. But in a surprising twist, he manages to stand up to his robber. Sort of.
Wanna buy $1 million bill?
Whoa, you should keep that. Who knows how much it's worth?
Then just give me all your money.
No, I'm only gonna give you a little of my money.
Hey, get out of here.
This catches the attention of a sales rep from a company called Stretcheroo Leggings, which turns out to be a Ponzi scheme. They manage to get Jeff to invest money and also draft him as a salesman for Stretcheroo. When Jeff goes back home and shares the news with the family, Haley is furious and tries to get the money back. However, she ends up being convinced and gets dragged into the organization as well. Soon enough, the entire family gets involved, investing a ton of money in the scheme. They end up becoming vice presidents of sales and push Jeff aside once again. They host a party to sell the leggings, but things don't go as planned. Buckle ends up liking Jeff's leggings, leading the family to accuse him of trying to steal their customer. Determined, Jeff sells the leggings to Buckle at any price and claims he'll outsell everyone to win the MVP at the Stretcheroo Awards ceremony in Cancun. On the day of the ceremony, it's revealed that Roger is actually the head of Stretcheroo, and the family doesn't seem to mind. Roger then announces Jeff as the winner for making the most sales, while unsurprisingly the Smiths end up making no sales at all.
And the winner is... Jeff Fisher!
What?
Did you never consider this possibility, Stan? We had no sales! Zero!
The Smiths then find themselves beholden to Jeff and ask him to teach them how he made his sales since they're short thousands of dollars after investing in Stretcheroo. Jeff tries to teach them his techniques and gets bombarded with questions. Overwhelmed, he excuses himself to the bathroom to cry, where he unexpectedly runs into Roger. In a moment of honesty, he confesses that he didn't actually make those sales. He bought all his leggings with money he got from robbing a bank. Determined to come clean to the family, Jeff considers confessing. However, Roger convinces him to cover it up by devising a plan to sell the leggings, which ultimately backfires. Eventually, Jeff musters the courage to tell the family the truth, and surprisingly, they accept it. However, considering it was their treatment of him that led to this whole mess in the first place, I don't think they're entirely exonerated. Now we get to one of those episodes that perfectly summarizes how dumb Jeff is and just how crazy Roger is as well. When Jeff is short on cash and needs it as soon as possible, Roger offers him the job of cleaning his attic for $50, and Jeff is all for it. The first time Jeff cleans Roger's room, Roger is friendly and pays him his cash, bidding him farewell. Just as Jeff puts his keys in the door to open it, Roger, dressed as a thief, jumps out, beats the crap out of him, and steals back the $50. The next time Jeff goes to the attic to clean, Roger acts all empathetic and even offers to escort him to his room. But immediately after Roger leaves, the robber appears again and robs Jeff once more.
I don't have time for this.
This time, he attempts to anally assault Jeff but gives up midway. The next time Jeff finishes cleaning the attic and gets paid, Roger gives him a scooter so he can quickly ride home. Jeff accepts the gift and zooms off, but he soon gets stopped by a red light.
Was this light always here? Help! Carjacking!
I mean, if you're dumb enough to think that a traffic light inside your home is normal, then maybe you deserve to get mugged. Roger comes out once more, robs Jeff, and steals the scooter. But it isn't enough that he did all that. Roger decides to show off by doing tricks on the scooter. Finally, when Jeff cleans up the room for the fourth time, Roger once again sympathizes and even offers to escort him, but Jeff declines. As Jeff approaches the door, Roger emerges with a knife for their regularly scheduled program, but this time Jeff has had enough. He talks about how he remembers when this was a safe hallway where he could leave his door open. Suddenly, Jeff pulls out a firearm and shoots Roger. In response, Roger brings out his own weapon and tries to shoot Jeff, but instead he ends up shooting himself in the foot. In Season 13, Episode 15, during a family game night between couples, each couple answers questions about the other, and Haley seems to get every question right. Francine lets everyone know that Stan's hero is Guy Fieri, the restaurateur. Stan complains that the reason Haley knows so much about Jeff is that his entire identity is based on weed. This upsets Jeff and he starts smoking, but then he admits to Haley that Stan is right. Stan, who has been eavesdropping on Jeff and Haley's conversation, tells Jeff that to develop an identity he needs to get a job working at a pizza place, and Jeff does. Guy Fieri then happens to stop by Jeff's pizza place with his entourage called the Pesto Crew. They realize that Jeff looks a lot like Guy Fieri, so he gets asked to join the crew. Jeff tells Haley about the whole thing, and Stan interrupts them again because he was eavesdropping and makes Jeff join the crew, presenting it as something Haley would want, when in reality, it's what he wants. So Jeff joins the crew, and they start harassing people.
That man is waggling his penis at me!
Jeff even brings the gang to the Smith home, and Stan is overjoyed. Sadly, Jeff's new behavior starts to upset Haley, and she tells him to leave the group. When he and Stan go to see Guy about Jeff leaving the crew, Guy expresses disappointment about Jeff's decision because he wants to retire and hopes Jeff will take his place. Jeff is unsure, but Stan hurriedly convinces him that this is the identity he's been looking for, so Jeff agrees and becomes Guy Fieri. Jeff returns to the house as Guy Fieri, and this really upsets Haley. She tries to have a serious conversation with him, but he ends up speaking in the Guy Fieri lingo and doesn't take her seriously. Stan, who has been eavesdropping, confronts Jeff as Guy Fieri and tries to get him to stop, but something strange happens.
Jeff, what is going on? Talk to me!
Sammy Hagar likes poblano peppers.
Take those stupid glasses off! My God, there's something supernatural happening!
Stan then realizes that Guy Fieri is actually a demon who has possessed Jeff. The only way to remove the demon is to take it back to its home and make it bathe in the pool of its creation. Stan ends up taking Jeff to this pool, which is actually a pool of mango-flavored habanero sauce. He manages to trick the demon into entering the pool, but as he does, Stan realizes that he loves Guy Fieri more than he loves Jeff. So he jumps into the pool to stop the process. Yes, Stan would rather have a demon than the real Jeff around. The pool creates a portal that transports Stan and the real Jeff back home, much to Stan's displeasure. So far, we've seen Jeff go through a bunch of unfortunate tragedies that he doesn't deserve to experience, but this particular one is hard to stomach. The trouble started when Roger realized that his upstairs lounge wasn't bringing in customers and began looking for ways to drum up business. That's when he notices that Haley has a really good voice, so he offers her a gig to sing in his lounge. Haley dresses up and sings fantastically. Not only does she attract customers, but she also impresses everyone, and Roger starts to make a lot of money. However, Roger starts making fun of Haley, and Steve notices that Roger has developed a crush on her. They try to get Roger to forget his feelings, but it doesn't work. Eventually, Roger tells Haley about his crush, and she turns him down in a very mature way. But don't forget that this is Roger we're talking about. He accepts the rejection, and then comes back to shoot Haley. You'd think he'd stop there, but even when she's in the hospital, Roger kidnaps her because he wants to be close to her, which only horrifies her more. Then Roger decides that he's going to wear her skin so they can finally be one. Just as he's about to do that, Jeff comes in and tries to save Haley, begging Roger not to skin her. Haley then goes into a speech about how Jeff is the only one for her, which gives Roger a moment of realization.
Oh my God. It's finally clear now. You don't want me. You want Jeff. And no matter how much I love you, it won't matter because I'm not him.
Right, yes, you get it.
Haley, I'm so sorry.
So Roger skins Jeff alive instead, and when Haley is appropriately horrified, Roger gets over his crush on her and decides to return Jeff's skin back to him. That's when we get a look at what Roger did to him. Jeff's body is left in a grotesque state, and Haley is understandably traumatized by the whole ordeal. Roger, in his typical twisted fashion, tries to make light of the situation, but it only deepens Haley's shock and disgust.
Good news, you're getting your skin back. Gross.
Now, I truly gotta hand it to Haley. Dating a man like Jeff and loving him as much as she does takes guts. But in Season 6, Episode 1, when Jeff and Haley were broken up, Jeff kept coming to their front porch trying to serenade her, hoping for another chance. This really annoyed Stan and Francine to the point that Stan wanted to shoot Jeff. When Haley wasn't happy about that, they decided to do something else instead.
There's a good hole.
Go on, Jeff. Shoot, shoot, scat.
Jeff, you're not good enough for our daughter. You have no job, no home, and no future. Plus, you're always wiping your face.
No, I'm not.
They left the young man crying as they treated him like he was a lesser human. I mean, the fact that Jeff just sat there and took all that maltreatment is crazy. Jeff eventually confronts Haley at her community college, pouring out his heart about how much he loves her. Haley is swayed by his sincerity, and the two of them run off to elope. When Stan and Francine find out, Stan reveals he put tracking chips in the skulls of his children so he will always know where they are. But Haley has removed the chip and placed it on a dog instead. Francine starts complaining about the $50,000 they had set aside for Haley's wedding. That's when Stan hatches a bright idea. They put a bounty on Haley and Jeff's heads with the $50,000 as the reward money. As word spreads, people start hunting the couple, and Haley begins to question her choice of Jeff as a partner. In a twist of irony, Jeff then calls Stan, asking for the reward money to turn Haley in and cancel the wedding. Stan and Francine meet up with Jeff, and Francine is instantly rude to him. In fact, she grabs a gun and points it at Jeff, reflecting just how far they're willing to go to control Haley's decisions.
Just say the word.
Don't do it, Francine.
All I heard was, do it!
Honey, it's not loaded.
Did you see that? Francine was willing to kill Jeff right then and there, and the only reason she didn't was because the gun wasn't loaded. I don't even know how to feel about that right now. Thankfully, Jeff and Haley were working together, and they swindled Stan and Francine of the $50,000 while they eloped in style. Since Jeff started living with the family and even having adventures with Roger, he hasn't put it together that Roger is an alien. Stan vehemently enforces the rule that Roger should never walk around the house without clothes, because if Jeff were ever to find out Roger is an alien, he would tell everyone, as he can't keep a secret. This makes Roger pissed. So when Haley tells him that Jeff has an imaginary friend named Philip, who was the best man at their wedding, Roger pretends to be Jeff's new imaginary friend. This means the rest of the family has to pretend that they can't see him. Roger then does all sorts of crazy stuff to the family.
How's he? Ow!
You okay, Mrs. S?
Oh, yeah. I just had my,
The jig is eventually up when Klaus addresses Roger, and Jeff realizes that Roger is real and an alien. Stan says that he'll have to make a choice, either kill Jeff or kill Roger. Haley claims that Jeff will be able to keep the secret, and as she says this, Jeff calls the manager at Quiznos and tells him that Roger is an alien.
I know you think he's an idiot, but there's no way he's gonna tell anyone knowing that his life is at stake.
Oh, a real live alien! Roger, here, tell the guy who runs the toaster at Quiznos I'm not lying.
Stan takes them to the basement and decides to leave their fates to chance. He puts bullets in a gun, leaving one chamber blank, and whoever gets shot by the loaded bullet dies, while the other survives. Just as he's about to do that, Roger says he'll leave the planet to avoid the situation, and everyone agrees. Roger goes to his spaceship and messages his homeworld, which announces that they'll send a ship to pick him up at the base of a mountain. The aliens arrive, and Roger says goodbye to the entire family. He then tells Jeff not to blame himself and asks for one more hug.
Come here, honey.
Jeff! No! Roger! Make them turn around!
No, wait, stop, come back.
Episode 18 from Season 8 is the one episode that will make you respect Jeff as a character. You see, after Roger sends Jeff into the spaceship, Jeff is then forced to work as a slave for the Emperor of Roger's race, Emperor Zing, who likes to take the best restaurants from every planet he visits. He took a shawarma stand from Earth, where Jeff is forced to work as a slave with Sinbad. Jeff tries to get Zing to let him go back to Haley, but Zing insists that love doesn't exist. Sinbad later tells Jeff that there's a way to leave the ship, he just has to prove his love for Haley. Otherwise, the gray space aliens are going to take his balls away. Sinbad even disrobes to show that he lost his balls as well.
A lot of us thought we were in love too. And when you fail the Emperor's test, they do this. They make you smooth. And I'm not alone. We all lost. Some of us lost less than others.
You guys just never saw it from the right angle.
Jeff is then put on trial, where a monster called the Majestic will have to look into his mind and collect his thoughts to know if he truly loved Haley. This ushers in one of the best songs in American Dad history, as a guy called the Summoner comes out and sings Wax Fang's Majestic. The Majestic emerges and pierces its tentacles deep into Jeff's brain, so deep that Jeff looks like Angstrom Levy from Invincible. The images that are shown depict Jeff being a terrible husband to Haley. Jeff ends up losing the trial, which means he is going to have to lose his balls. However, he is allowed to use them one last time. Then, an alien shapeshifter takes the form of Haley to sleep with him, but he refuses, saying he doesn't want to cheat on Haley.
I mean, I didn't learn to read for you, or stop eating my scabs for you, or start to pee sitting down so I wouldn't wake you up.
You did all those things for her?
Yeah, I did. Where were those memories?
Jeff then realizes that the Majestic has only shown the negatives of his relationship and not any of the good times. So he goes down the pit to confront the Majestic and get him to show the positive aspects of his relationship. That's when the Majestic tells him that he's only allowed to show the bad. Apparently Zing had his heart broken by someone long ago, and because of that he waged a war against love.
Emperor Zing was in love?
Oh yes. Thought he'd met the one. But then he got dumped, and it devastated him so completely, he vowed to never love again. But the pain still remained, so he started shopping.
The next morning, Jeff and the gang, including the Majestic, stage a revolution against Zing. The Majestic shows everyone that Zing lied about love not existing because he used to be in love with Roger.
Hello?
Roger?
Oh my god, okay, wow. Can we please be grown-ups about this? Because I can't.
I don't know why I didn't see this coming at the time. I mean, of course, Roger was somehow responsible for all this. Jeff and Sinbad manage to run to an escape pod, and Sinbad cinematically takes out their attackers while Jeff is... well, Jeff.
Ow! My ear! Ow! Come on, man, get out of here! You sure? Because I think I could be a big help. Ah! Just go! And be known as the guy who left his #1 space bud? I don't think so.
Jeff escapes via a pod while Sinbad loses his life in the process, but then comes back as a Jedi ghost, so it's a happy ending, I guess. This brings us to the end of the video for the time being. If you want to hear more about Jeff's adventures and all the bullying he's received, let me know in the comments below. As always, check out my videos on other American Dad characters, and I'll see you on the next one.